Nigeria has a problem, and it seems to be getting worse by the day. As one of the largest oil producers in the world, the country seems to be suffering despite its resources. It's gotten so bad that since 1973, the price of fuel in the country has increased by 29,900%. That's basically from 5 kobo per liter, the equivalent of $0.075 today, to about 1,500 naira per liter, the equivalent of about $1 per liter. As you'd expect, this increase has not only begun a frightening economic crash, but has also made daily life for about 220 million Nigerians a nightmare. With the cost of transportation reaching an all-time high, and the cost of feeding hitting an astronomical rise, Nigerian consumers could be reaching their breaking point. And worst of all, it only seems to be getting worse. To combat this, the richest man in Africa, billionaire Aliko Dangote, decided to take action, and his approach shook the world. Standing on approximately 2,635 hectares of land as the world's largest single-train refinery, his new refinery promises to produce 650,000 barrels of fuel per day. But what exactly is the reason behind Nigeria's downfall? How bad has it gotten? And will the Dangote oil refinery be enough to save the dying country before things get worse? 3 years before its independence in 1956, Nigeria made a discovery that, in theory, would have set it on the way to becoming one of the most powerful countries in the world. And in some ways, it did. In a small community named Oloibiri, in present-day Bayelsa State, located in the Niger Delta, Nigeria, the first ever oil well in Nigeria was drilled. After this, things quickly got moving, and soon enough, Shell BP, a British-Dutch oil company, became responsible for the exploration and discovery of oil in the region. Full-scale oil production began quickly in 1958, marking the beginning of Nigeria's journey as a major oil-producing country. Today, the Niger Delta in southern Nigeria holds around 37 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, making Nigeria Africa's largest oil producer and a top 15 global player. But that's not all, because alongside oil, the region has significant natural gas reserves, estimated at 187 trillion cubic feet. Some of its key oil fields include Bonga, Agbami, and Akpo, with production ranging from 1.5 million to 1.7 million barrels per day. If you think that's insane for a country well known on the world stage for its corruption and poverty, then you're in for a shocker. Although globally, Nigeria ranks below giants like Venezuela with over 300 billion barrels and Saudi Arabia with about 270 billion barrels in proven reserves, the country is still not to be messed with. Nigeria might be an underdog when compared to these industry giants, but the country remains relevant and important, especially because of its high-quality, low-sulfur sweet crude, which is highly valued for refining. Coming home to Africa, the Niger Delta is the largest oil-producing region, far surpassing other African nations in both production and economic impact. Although Libya has a slightly larger reserve at 48 billion barrels, Nigeria consistently outperforms it in terms of daily production and the high quality of its sweet crude oil, which is easier to refine. Despite the size of Libya's reserves, Nigeria's dominance in oil production and export is unmatched in Africa, solidifying its role as a major player in the continent's energy market. So, with all that, here's the new question. Where did it all go wrong? Somehow, despite Nigeria's vast oil reserves, the country faces several challenges that prevent oil wealth from significantly improving the nation's economy. For comparison, other countries like Norway, the UAE, and even Angola discovered oil after Nigeria and have done wonders in turning their country around. The major reason for Nigeria's problem could be traced to its reliance on oil revenue, which accounts for over 80% of government income. This might seem trivial at first, but the true scale of the problem comes from the fact that it makes Nigeria highly vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices. And when prices drop, it severely impacts government spending and economic growth. However, the true problem comes not from Nigeria's reliance on crude oil, but from its reliance on importing. See, Nigeria has several refineries, including major ones at Port Harcourt, Kaduna, and Warri. However, these refineries often operate below capacity due to outdated technology, mismanagement, and frequent breakdowns. As a result, Nigeria imports a significant portion of its refined petroleum products, such as gasoline and diesel, despite being a major crude oil exporter. Essentially, the country sells its oil to import fuel, which is absolutely ludicrous. A sentiment that business mogul Aliko Dangote, the richest man in Africa, held when he set out to tackle the problem. See, way back in September 2013, Aliko Dangote unveiled plans for a major refinery project that would change the country quite literally. Securing approximately $3.3 billion in financing for an estimated $9 billion venture, the Dangote Group committed $3 billion, with the remainder being funded through commercial loans. Initially planned to be located in Ondo State, the project, set to begin production in 2016, was faced with delays mostly due to government negligence. In fact, the delays were so bad that construction didn't start until 2016 after relocating to Lekki, and as such, the refinery's completion date was pushed back to late 2018. By July 2017, significant structural work had begun, with the refinery's engineering involving advanced technology and large-scale infrastructure. The project was quickly becoming a behemoth, so much so that its cost was later revised to $15 billion, including $10 billion for the refinery itself, $2.5 billion for a urea fertilizer factory, and $2.5 billion for pipeline infrastructure. This project became so cumbersome that the financial difficulties led Aliko Dangote, the richest black man in the world, to borrow 187 billion naira, that's about 450 million US dollars, in July 2022 to continue the project. But what exactly made the project so different and cumbersome? Well, for one, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals stands today as a monumental engineering and industrial achievement. Designed to be the world's largest single-train petroleum refinery, the project promises to transform Nigeria's oil industry and make significant impacts on both the national and global stages. The refinery, located in the Dangote Industries Free Zone in Mbeju Lekki, Lagos State, is designed to process about 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day, which is about 40% of the total crude oil the country produces. It covers an expansive area of approximately 6,500 acres, which is the equivalent of about 6 times the size of Victoria Island, Lagos. It even includes a massive polypropylene plant with an annual capacity of 838,000 tons. To put this into perspective, it's roughly the size of 4,000 football fields laid out in a grid. Well, if that's not impressive enough, then consider the fact that its total storage capacity of about 4.5 billion liters can meet 20 days of crude oil requirements and provide storage for 15 days of the whole country's gasoline consumption. This storage capacity alone is enough to fill around 3,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools easily. So as you can imagine, the construction was a massive undertaking. For example, 65 million cubic meters of sand were dredged using the world's largest dredgers, costing about 330 million US dollars. For clarity, this amount of sand could fill about 26,000 standard-sized dump trucks. But that's just the beginning, as the civil works were equally impressive, with 250,000 piles drilled for the project. That's enough to create a foundation that could theoretically support an entire city's worth of skyscrapers. One of the standout features of the refinery is the fact that it has its own 435 megawatt power plant, which could supply power to the Ibadan Distribution Company, covering 5 states: Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Kwara, and Ekiti. To visualize this, imagine powering an entire metropolitan area with the energy produced by this single facility. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery is designed to produce a wide array of products, including Euro V quality gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and polypropylene. But that's not all, because the facility would also serve other countries, as it can process a variety of crude oils, ranging from African to Middle Eastern, and even US light tight crudes, setting it apart from many refineries in the world. The refinery can process 650,000 barrels per day, with an initial production target of 370,000 barrels per day. However, when complete, 450,000 of the 650,000 will be reserved for the country's consumption, while the rest will serve other countries. Environmentally, the refinery's design incorporates advanced technology to meet strict environmental regulations. For example, It conforms to a host of emission standards set by the World Bank, US EPA, EU, and Nigeria's Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR. Not to mention that the facility is equipped to produce Euro V quality fuels, which are the cleanest available, adhering to the latest environmental norms. Impressive, right? Well, there's more. The refinery is also set to produce 10.4 million metric tons of gasoline, 4.6 million metric tons of diesel, and about 4 million metric tons of aviation fuel annually. It will even generate 690,000 tons of polypropylene, 240,000 tons of propane, 32,000 tons of sulfur, and 500,000 tons of carbon black per year. To put it into perspective, the refinery's annual gasoline production alone could fuel approximately 13 million cars, assuming an average tank size of 40 liters. With stats like these, one could already predict that the economic impact of the Dangote petroleum refinery is bound to be profound. The project, with a final cost of $18.5 billion, is the largest single investment in Africa by an individual and one of the most expensive industrial complexes worldwide. By meeting 100% of Nigeria's refined product requirements and exporting a surplus, the refinery is expected to eliminate Nigeria's $26 billion foreign exchange bill for importing refined petroleum products and fertilizer. In terms of economic contribution, the refinery is projected to add over $25 billion to Nigeria's GDP through value addition within the country. It will also generate approximately 135,000 permanent jobs and 300,000 direct and indirect employment opportunities. Essentially, the refinery is Nigeria's newest lifeline and has the potential to generate $17 billion in foreign exchange from exports, acting as a significant boost to Nigerians' foreign reserves, which, by extension, would improve the exchange rate stability. It could even give strength back to the naira, allowing its exchange rate to drop dramatically. Globally, the Dangote refinery will be the 7th largest oil refinery. For comparison, it's roughly equivalent in scale to the Jamnagar refinery in India, which is the largest refinery in the world. Not to mention that the Dangote facility's Nelson Complexity Index of 10.5 means it will be more complex than many refineries in the US and Europe. Why does this matter? Well, simply put, a higher NCI reflects a refinery's ability to handle a broader range of crude oils and employ advanced technologies. This also indicates that the Dangote refinery will process more challenging types of crude oil and produce high-value products like premium gasoline, high-quality diesel, and sophisticated petrochemicals. In practical terms, the Dangote refinery's high NCI means it can extract more value from every barrel of crude oil it processes. Its advanced systems and technologies allow it to operate more efficiently and produce a wider array of products compared to many other refineries with lower NCIs. As with most things associated with Nigeria, the refinery's construction faced several challenges, including logistical hurdles and the scale of the project itself. It was so bad that the initial estimated cost of $9 billion ballooned to $15 billion and then to $18.5 billion. The reasons for the escalation included changes in design, unexpected delays, and increased material costs. To quicken construction, Dangote adopted a precast method for civil works, which involved prefabricating structural components and transporting them to the site. Additionally, the project required the largest single order of 5 single-point mooring (SPM) systems globally. These systems are used for unloading ships and exporting products, highlighting the scale of the marine infrastructure involved. To put it in perspective, this system includes 120 kilometers of pipelines that can handle over 100,000 barrels of crude oil per hour. That's equivalent to filling up over 4,500 standard-sized swimming pools every hour. And when it comes to refined products, the pipelines can transport 77,000 barrels per hour. So basically, imagine that you could fill about 3,200 bathtubs with gasoline, diesel, or jet fuel every hour. It's like having a pipeline so vast and efficient that it could keep an entire city's cars and airplanes running non-stop. Besides construction, a critical aspect of the refinery's development was the training of personnel. See, Dangote Industries spared no expense and invested in training 900 young engineers in refinery operations abroad. This included mechanical engineers trained at GE University in Italy, and process engineers trained by Honeywell UOP in the US, Bharat Petroleum Corporation in India, and other international institutions. This training ensured that local talent was well equipped to manage and operate the refinery once completed. Reports of May 2023 indicate that the Dangote refinery is expected to reach full operational capacity by 2025. The project's completion marked a significant milestone for Nigeria, transforming the country's oil and gas sector and potentially serving as a model for other nations seeking to develop their refining capabilities. Today, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's scale and engineering feats are truly monumental, making it a unique and impressive addition to the global industrial landscape. Its sheer size and complexity are reminiscent of grand projects such as the Great Wall of China or the Panama Canal, reflecting a similar level of ambition and innovation. Only time will tell if this massive investment will save the country from its worsening crisis. But what do you think? Is the refinery Nigeria's new lifeline? Or do you think it will take a lot more to save the now struggling country? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe to dive deeper into the wonders of the engineering world with us. Oh, and if you're curious, check out this video on Dubai Land to see what the UAE is doing with its oil money. Until next time, stay safe.